So welcome to the M2 podcast. This is episode 10. This is the show where we cover esports and personalities, some coming games, new releases. What else is there? We gaming industry related news and some new tech. So, happy St. Patty's Day. It is Thursday. Kyle over here is wearing the green.
I am.
I'm unfortunately not, but I mean I'm Irish through 3 generations, so I feel like that counts. Um
Counts for something,
Not
I
even
guess.
that far away. Yeah, gotta mean something, right? Anyways,
Oh.
without further ado, this is the show that we basically cover what happened the week in gaming, tech, and stuff that you might be interested in. So,
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you got for us this week?
I got some stories for you. I actually want to kind of maybe start with a little quick kind of segment, and I'd be
Okay.
curious to see if you'd like it. I think I'm curious to know what you played this week, Mike. What games were you playing this week?
This week? Well, I picked up Halo Infinite and actually tried to grind it for the first time in a couple of weeks. That was the big thing I did. The other game that I was playing is Century Age of Ashes, which I know. Have I mentioned it on the podcast before?
I don't know actually. Maybe.
Well, if I haven't, Century Age of Ashes came out a couple of months ago. I've been looking at it for the last like 2 years, like a year and a half, once I first heard about it. Essentially, what it is it's an arena style game. It's a flight simulator, but you're instead of flying a plane, you're flying a dragon, and you can upgrade the way your dragon looks. You literally breathe fire, shoot fireballs. It's really cool. There's a lot of different objectives. I've been playing that a bunch. And honestly, I've just been kind of keeping it busy with my like own personal self trying to do stuff outside of gaming, you know?
Yeah, I feel that.
But how about you?
Oh man. It's been I've been back on like the little bit of a Valorant grind, I think, the past
Uh-oh.
couple of weeks. And this week was no exception. I don't know, just like it's one of those things like I know my buddies and I would kind of have like a spurt where we'll just like play a game and it just so happens to be Valorant this time, so we're like kind of just grinding it, and we're also trying to have fun with it too. We're not trying to like take it too seriously. So we have some fun games, and we still get mad though, because it's Valorant. It's one of those games that's like hard to avoid that.
Yeah.
But still, like overall, I think it's a fun experience, and it's just fun, like just playing a tactical shooter. At least I think, like tactical shooters are always one of those games. Like especially growing up, I was like, I'd watch like CS and be like, "Yo, that looks like really sick," and I wish I could get like good at a game like that. And so
Yeah.
now that now that like I'm an adult with a PC and everything, like I can finally have the opportunity to like get serious about like playing games like that and like have fun with it. And so
You
like
know,
yeah.
there are a couple of games that I want to play, but you need a squad to play it. Which one is literally called Squad. There's another one that's like a military simulator for like World War II. It reminds me of Battlefield 4 with the way they have it set up. I can't remember the name of it right now, but like I've been watching GameSprout. Have you ever watched GameSprout on YouTube?
Don't think so. I don't think so.
So GameSprout, shout out to GameSprout. They have like I think several million followers by now, or subscribers, I mean. So they're like pretty well known, but what they do, they have a segment where they basically take clips from like anywhere online of people gaming, and they'll do like gamers are awesome or like only in gaming moments. It'll just be clip after clip after clip for like 8 9 minutes, and a lot of them they go in themes, right, based on the popularity of certain games. So like you'll see Halo Infinite because that's a recent game, or like Forza, people doing crazy drift moves. And then I saw this like war game, and I'm like, what is this? And then like I go and Google, and it's like indie developer. It's like I don't know. It's like Eastern Europe, I think, is the developer. It's like, not the name of the developer, but they're
Yeah.
from Eastern Europe,
Right.
so it's kind of like a niche. Um,
Oh,
but man, it looked cool. It looked really cool.
yeah. Huh.
So
Sounds interesting.
I'll have to send it to you. Try to bribe you into playing with me.
Yeah. No, we're definitely gonna link about something. Anyways, but yeah, so that is that it's certainly I always like hearing what people play throughout the week because I know it's not it's always different for everyone. So even like just outside of like this, I like just try to see like what people are up to, like in terms of games they're playing and whatnot. And sometimes I
Yeah.
hop in and play, it's like you can find some fun times. But this is a news show, ultimately,
Yes, it is.
about gaming news. So this week we have a few articles to go over. Has some Halo TV series kind of updates, behind the scenes stuff, some new Ryzen announcements from AMD. We have another sort of gaming accessory to go over with the xScreen. We also have Resident Evil. The Resident Evil show is coming out this summer, so we got a little bit of a teaser for that through some posters. ID at Xbox happened this week. We'll of course kind of go over, kind of just do a quick rundown of kind of the games we liked and what we saw from that. EA Play Live will not be happening this year. That got canceled, so we'll talk about that, kind of the reasoning behind there, and why it may not be so much of a bad thing. Then we have some Starfield, some quick Starfield news, and I mean quick. We'll see. You'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
Certainly see. Anyways, so first article comes from Variety. So this is Adam Very who wrote this. They spoke with one of the main, I guess, screenplay writers for the new Halo TV series that's coming out literally next week at the time of this recording, and they pretty much described the process of kind of how the show came to be, what kind of the path they took for it. Immediately off the top of the article, it says there's over $90 million spent, over 265 script drafts that were created for the show. I guess just trying to find the concept and where they wanted to take it. It's a very insightful article if you're curious at all about kind of what led up to the actual TV show that we will be seeing soon. I did see one interesting point on Twitter, however, when I was originally found this article, stating that the original screenwriters, they never played the Halo games in preparation for the show or to try and get, I guess, some sort of influence for the show. And so, personally, from perspective of me, and I see certainly a perspective from other people on Twitter, it's a lot of like, why would you not like try to go from source material at least a little bit to kind of get an idea of what the world's like and how you could take at least some of the elements from the story in the games, because there's a lot to unpack there, and at least like include some of that in the show. I saw one comment too that said, like it's almost as if like the people that made the Lord of the Rings movies didn't read the books beforehand to like get that source material and get the lore there. So I don't know. It's to me, I think it's partially, I want to like stay optimistic, but at the same time, it's kind of concerning whenever they're not. At least to me, I feel when they're not like trying to go for a lot of that lore-rich story that we both know Halo has. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Mike? Because I know you know the history a lot more than I do.
Yeah, like I know way too much about the Halo lore and the story overall. That's one of the main reasons that keeps me playing, to be honest. It's like because you know how frustrated I get with the game just in general, but like I love the story. I know everything about it. Um, but not like I kind of am not surprised he hasn't played the games, or the directors or the people, producers and stuff haven't played the games to know like what's actually going on. Because one, it's like if you're that successful as a producer, do you really have time to be playing games that you're not interested in? But the other thing is too, it's like the I think it was Bonnie Ross even made an announcement when Paramount first announced that there was a Halo series, like when it was officially announced, no more rumors. Um, Bonnie Ross basically came out and said this is going to be one of those like one of those shows that isn't going to rely heavily on the story. It's going to be similar to like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it's separated but loosely based on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's what they're trying to do with Halo Infinite. Not Halo Infinite, but Halo the TV series. It's a real shame though, because if you dive in to the games and you actually fully understand, because there are like Easter eggs and stuff, you can learn more about the lore. There's so much. Like you can make multiple episodes, seasons without even showing the Master Chief because of how like crazy it is.
Right. Yeah.
And and I think it's a missed opportunity. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, you made a good point too, I guess, of like, there's certainly been good adaptations from other mediums that
Yeah.
maybe not like certainly not one to one pull from, but they certainly have at least a little bit of an inspiration from. And maybe, it's kind of the idea, they want to go into this with like a clean slate completely and kind of, have their own interpretation of it, which I can
Mhm.
appreciate. So, I'm certainly, like I said before, certainly optimistic to see what they come up with. But yeah, I don't know if it's certainly, I think something like this will kind of hopefully sort of set expectations, I feel, for a lot of people going into this thinking that this is gonna be some insane show that's gonna be like the game, but a million times better type of thing. It certainly has that. It sets that expectation, which I think is important too. So hopefully, certainly if you're interested in the show, I would go over and read this article and kind of get an idea for where their heads are at before this comes out in a week.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, did you see the second trailer for it?
I actually did not. I've been really bad about trying to keep up with those trailers and everything.
So from my experience watching the trailer and knowing what I know about the games, it seems as though they're going to do like they showed like something similar to a flashback of the Master Chief or like the Spartan program of how the Spartans were created. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but basically what I'm trying to get at is by doing flashbacks, they're kind of speeding up any type of background story of the characters. And they were showing primary characters that were in Halo 2 and 3. So they could just be thrusting you straight into like the Halo 2, Halo 3. It could be like after the events of the first game
Yeah.
with the most popular games of 2 and 3, which do have really good stories. They like solidified, gave more background of like what happened in the first game.
Yeah.
So if they can do it right, I mean, I think regardless, because it says Halo on, it's gonna be successful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely think so. But yeah, at least from the trailers, it looks like decent action and everything at the very least. So you can
yeah,
you'll at least get some enjoyment out of it. I feel if you watch it.
yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I don't think I have a Paramount Plus subscription myself, but who knows? I may
Would
try and get one just to see this.
I was I was gonna ask are the trailers or is Halo um is it enticing you to get one?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I know initially for me, just personally, like TV shows, it's very rare, especially in my life, where I've like sat down, like besides like when you're a kid, like where you sit down and like actively watch a TV show. Especially like it's I'm just kind of like doing my own thing anyway. Like I don't really have anything. I mean, I have like friends and stuff I go watch stuff with, but it's just kind of like I most of the time don't even bother. So it's like
Yeah.
who knows? I might. I mean, if there's other people like down to watch as well, or they want to like talk about it, it's not that much a month for Paramount Plus, so I may just like throw a couple dollars down and see it, and just at least have like
Yeah.
that stuff to talk about.
Well, I'm all for game adaptations to TV series and movies.
Yeah,
I just hope they're successful.
yeah.
So
I mean, I'm kind of the same.
opens the door.
I think I think they built like the Last of Us TV series. I'm looking forward to that. Like,
Dude,
I
yeah.
think that'll be good. Like,
It's gonna be amazing. It better be.
I mean, yeah. I mean, cause like a show like that, they're like Neil Druckmann, who like was the director of the games, is
Yeah.
like a producer. I'm pretty sure, if not like one of the main like I was gonna say main directors, but I'm pretty sure he's. I don't know if he's directing. I could be wrong, but he has heavy involvement, like very heavy involvement in how that show's running. So I think I have no doubt that at least from a story standpoint, I think it'll be good. But yeah, there's really it doesn't seem like there's much of that for the Halo one, so uh, we'll certainly see. So we're only a week out from the time of this recording, so
Yep.
here's the hope
We'll
we're
check it
right,
out.
man. Here's the hope we're right.
If not, hopefully we're entertained, regardless, good or bad.
Yeah.
I like bad movies, so I'll enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing too. When it comes to movies and TV shows, like no matter how it swings, you can still find some enjoyment in it one way or
Mhm.
another. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But you know what? Something I find enjoyment in, like
Lay it on me.
AMD. As someone myself who built my first PC 5 years ago now. Guess we have 5, almost 6. I was looking at the market and seeing Ryzen, the first gen Ryzen come out. It was it's very enticing, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity to try and build an insane rig. Here I am, still running strong 5 years later. But regardless, AMD announced a new Ryzen 7 5800X 3D processor. That's going to be available at the end of April, April 20th for $449, alongside a new slate of more affordable processors coming April 4th, which we'll get into in a little bit. So this was announced originally at CES, according to the article that I pulled from The Verge. It is extremely similar to the Ryzen 7 5800X model with 8 cores, 16 threads, and compatibility with AMD's AM4 socket. But there's one major difference, and that is that 3D marks the debut of AMD's 3D stacking V-cache technology, which is allowing AMD to up the L3 cache from 32 megabytes to 96 megabytes. Company says the additional cache should translate to about a 15% boost in overall performance compared to the Ryzen 5900X, despite the fact that the 5900X is 12 core, 24 thread. So it's got more processing power, but just the fact that they're able to kind of utilize a more efficient cache, like more efficient caching on this chipset, it's going to pack a punch, to say the least. Company also announced a wide range of other Zen 2 and Zen 3 desktop processors, and they have a chart of their kind of spring release schedule here. I thought what was interesting in this release schedule, the Ryzen 3 4100, which is a Zen 2 processor with 4 cores, 8 threads. It's only $100 to get a 4-core processor nowadays, which is absolutely unreal.
Wild. Yeah.
Completely. But there's also a whole lineup of Ryzen 5 chips that'll be releasing soon for, again, very competitive price points. And we're talking 6 cores, 12 threads. It's really good clock speeds too. I mean, even the Ryzen 3, it's a 4 gigahertz clock speed on boost, which is better than it's better than the first gen Ryzen 7 that I have. I have 1700X. That thing doesn't get nearly that. So it's absolutely insane what each generation comes out with. There's also an important note at the bottom of the article. It says all the new processors here are not AMD's next generation Ryzen 7000 chips that are set to use the company's upcoming Zen 4 architecture and a new 5 nanometer process. So they're taking that process and shrinking it even more for this next generation. But those are set to come out to the second half of 2022. So we're almost there. But I mean, these are kind of the I guess last of the Zen 3 kind of releases before we move on to Zen 4.
Yeah. It's looking good for AMD right now. I think they're really solidifying the budget build and the business market. Because if you're trying to make like a powerful PC, but you're trying to do it cheap, like how do you look away from AMD? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Intel's probably got the gaming sphere pretty much locked down. But if you're doing any type of like video rendering or anything like that, anything super CPU intensive, I mean, you got to go with AMD.
Yeah. Definitely. That
So,
was a huge reason why I went Ryzen, with AMD whenever I built my PC, because like
yeah,
I knew I was going to be doing stuff other than gaming, and I was willing to take that like very slight deficit on gaming performance to be able to have a absolute unit of a workstation, and it still holds up
yes,
well. I mean, it holds up well to this day. I mean, that was the whole reason I did it. So I think like AMD, they really solidified themselves with the Ryzen architecture, and
hmm
it's not going anywhere, and I'm very happy about that. It is really cool to see. I know we've talked about competition before on recent casts. I mean, it's really cool to see that competition between them and Intel, and how Intel significantly cut their prices and offered
yeah,
similar, if not better, performance on gaming for equivalent asking prices. So, I mean, this certainly very small news, I guess, in terms of release of new release chips, because later on in the year we'll certainly be talking about Ryzen 7000 whenever that's announced, because that'll be super dope. And who knows, in the next couple of years I may be looking to upgrade myself, so I'm gonna be looking pretty closely at the market.
yeah. I've been doing the same thing as well. The I'm pretty sure now. Hopefully, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. We might have some like PC enthusiasts that listen to us, and they might be interested in overclocking this. I'm pretty sure that these chipsets or these chips, they can't be overclocked. They have like an integrated boost clock feature
hmm,
that you can set, but it can't be unlocked like traditionally unlocked or not unlocked, overclocked.
yeah. Well, I mean, I know with my Ryzen chip, I mean, it's 5 years old now, but I was able to overclock it. I don't think I was able to get above like the max like I saw online of other people getting out of their chipsets, because again, it's kind of like silicon lottery type thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was no limitation on trying to push the chip to the limits. I mean, I know certainly when I was trying to get to like insane clock speeds, I would just my PC just wouldn't start and stuff, and like it's always an
Yeah, you
indicator,
don't.
it just doesn't work.
That
But
that scares me.
yeah, I know I've done that before. I mean, but there's those safety measures in place to not like burn out the chip in a week.
Yeah,
So like, it's definitely
yeah,
smart they do
thankfully.
that. But yeah, I mean, like the 5700X is a 4.6 boost clock, which is absolutely unreal. Like I can't. I think 3.8 was what I was able to stably overclock my first gen Ryzen to,
Yeah,
and I mean that's pretty good. So I mean, anything above that, it certainly is certainly intrigues me, I think, and that seems to be kind of the typical. You, like 4 is like you should definitely be able to hit it on a lot of the newer chips, and like
oh
go
yeah.
way beyond
That
that in most cases.
yeah, the thing about, I guess, with my setup, I have a Ryzen 7 3700X, and I think I have a, yeah, I have boost clock enabled, so I can do 4.1 or 4.05 gigahertz. But I think there are people going up to like 4.5.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like, hey, yeah, I don't really care for that. I'm good.
yeah,
Like like I'm just trying to game.
I know.
Nothing too serious.
Because at that point, it's like what 5 extra frames, like in most
Yeah.
games, like it's not.
Yeah.
It's really worth it in the long grand scheme of things. I
Mhm.
mean, I think from an outside perspective, looking at not only the CPU market but the GPU market and how like I
Yeah.
each generation that comes along, I'm like, how could they possibly do it better? Type of thing, or like, oh, there's
They
no
keep
way
doing
it's
it.
gonna be better. And then like, because I thought that whenever like like the 1080 Ti was out, I was like that was the king. And then they released a 20 series, and it's like, okay, I mean it's better, but I don't think it like really blows like the 1080 out of the water too much. Like you could still
Yeah.
get a 1080 Ti pretty cheap. And then they did the 30 series, and it's like it just blew everything out of the water and
Yeah.
some. It's
It's like
like,
not even close.
yeah, and it's like they blew it out of the water, and like they pretty essentially did it because they were able to shrink the amount of, I guess, like circuit. I mean, without getting too technical, is that they were able to essentially shrink what they were able to put on the board so they could put more of it. I guess is like the most kind of like
Yeah.
the easiest way to say that.
Surface area thing.
Yeah, I mean they essentially like they can't really afford to make the cards too much bigger, right? Because it's already hard enough for a lot of those cards to even fit in a tower. And so if they could take the same form factor, shrink it, and just make it as small as humanly possible and more efficient, then that's exactly what they're doing, and that's how they're achieving these huge leaps in performance. But I also think they kind of like, I think to a certain extent they try to have like a 5 year plan of like, all right, we're gonna release this, but we already like have like potential with the next generation after that.
Yes.
Well, we might as well just get this out, make some money, and then we can go and like blow everything out of the water.
That's what this seems like.
Yeah.
These Ryzen 7 5 threes and 41 4500 5500,
Mhm.
like how's that, like it's really not that different from the regular Ryzen 7s and 5s,
Yeah.
but cheaper and faster.
Yeah.
But it's like right before the next series comes out, you know?
Yeah. I know.
They're trying to clear out the inventory, it seems like.
Yeah.
Got to
I
get some
mean,
shelf space.
yeah, for sure. Because like with Zen 3 architecture or Gen 3, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, Zen
Yeah.
3, it's like the processor I believe is 7 nanometers. And so they're like, I think before it was like 8 or 9. So it's like they're shrinking it. I think with most generations they're shrinking it. And it's like I mean eventually like I at least I would think in my non electrical engineering brain, like how like you can't shrink, like how small can you make something and still make it performant and efficient and even usable? Because like it's just this process. I mean, if they're using like if they're shrinking, I guess from like, again, I don't know the full internals of a CPU, but like if they're shrinking like more and more from 9 to 7 to 5, it's, I guess, are they just adding more of those? And so that since it shrinks, they can add more. I guess it comes back to surface area, I guess, at the end of the day, where they can just kind of just take that smaller form factor, multiply it, and then get that performance. Um, I'd be curious. I'll have to look into that, I guess, on my own time to see kind of the architecture there, about how that's really achieved. Because that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's definitely worth diving into. You can get lost in nanometers and stuff like that. Like, um, for example, for people that don't know how small like 5 nanometers really is, a human hair is like 80,000 to 100,000 nanometers.
Jeez.
So yeah, so what we're saying here is like you can't see the difference between 5 and 7.
Quite
It's
literally.
crazy. Yeah,
So I mean, yeah,
but
they're able to fit more on it, man. That's the biggest thing. It's kind of like the whole
mhm.
it's like the battery debate, right? Like phone batteries, like they can't
Yeah.
make the technology of batteries hasn't advanced in so long, and there's really no way they can advance it right now. So they're having to build a software system around it to make it more efficient because they can't do anything about the battery. It's like that type
Yeah.
of thing. You just gotta work with more. Try how can we make it so that we can like add more and like make it efficient? Like
Yeah, the only way to improve batteries is to get new materials.
yeah,
That's
which
why we're going to space, baby.
going to space. That's what the space race is all about. It's batteries.
Honest to God, it probably is for Elon. He knows it.
Yeah.
Just got to mine a couple of random asteroids that fly by.
No.
This man's playing No Man's Sky.
Oh
IRL.
man, the space race. The whole thing, man. We could go on. We can go on, right? But
Hmm.
we need to save some time. Talk about
We do.
something. Talk about
Yes.
the next article, right? We have
Hmm.
another kind of product this week. I like to.
Big fan.
I think I like to. I like to include some sort of like hardware product. I think in Live's episodes, kind of see like what's going on out there. This came across my desk this week, and it was certainly something that intrigued me. It's called the xScreen. It essentially turns an Xbox Series X into a portable console. Immediately, I have a picture on the screen here. It's $250. This immediately made me think of, I think it was the game case. I forget what the name of the brand was, but it was a case where you could stick the console in and had a monitor on it, and you could open it up and you could carry it like a briefcase. The name's on the tip
Didn't
of
they
my
have
tongue.
that for a game? Didn't they have that for GameCube?
I think they did. They had a version of it. I remember it mostly on I think like PS3, PS4, where it was like it looked like a I guess a briefcase or something. It had a monitor in it, and you could just stick the console in it, and there you go. Look at that GameCube.
That's a
I
GameCube.
was listening.
I'm holding up
Mike
right
is
now.
holding up a GameCube. I actually have mine tucked away somewhere in a drawer too,
Should do a LAN party sometime. Um,
for sure.
yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I should have brought this up to you honestly. So this is my fault. I saw a Linus Tech Tips video. They got this early, um, from the retailer. The retailer's out of California. One of the reasons, not California, sorry, Australia. Which is one of the reasons why it's so expensive. $250 for an extra screen, and they went through and like tested everything with it. So there were a couple of problems that they brought up. How it could only do 1080p. They couldn't go up to 4K, and one of the reasons for it is the size of the screen was very awkward because it has to match the configuration of the Xbox Series S, which is like a rectangular shape. And they went through and started talking about the different types of the quality. They felt like it was easily broken. It was all like cheap plastic. Opening it up like a laptop back and forth, they could actually literally see cracks starting to form. And if they
Mm.
were carrying it like a laptop, like or like a briefcase, like you said, they could hear the clicking through the plastic.
Oh
So there are
yeah,
buttons on the face of the this like little screen that attaches directly to it. So from what they described, it seems more of a concept, like a prototype is the word I'm looking for.
yeah.
It seems more like a prototype before they go to retail.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, I think it's a great idea though. Don't get me wrong.
Right. I mean,
Like
yeah,
the way it just attaches to the back of your console, and instantly you can play as long as you have power going to it.
yeah. Yeah, they have a screenshot
Yeah,
in the
you have a
article of
picture. Mhm.
the back of it. So that's like it's a weird angle too, because it's like it's the screen folded down, so the ports are sticking up, but like they go behind the console. It's really weird, um,
Yeah.
but it also kind of latches on. I mean, looking at the images, I mean, it integrates like seamlessly.
Yes.
Like it looks like
Yes,
the
it does.
concept is there. I mean, you're right. Um, The Verge, they actually gave it. Now again, I don't know. I guess it's out of 10. The Verge score, I have no idea, but The Verge gave it a 6 out of whatever. I don't know. They mentioned some good stuff. Is that it integrates well with the Xbox Series S, which we can clearly see it integrates. I mean, it seems to integrate fairly well. 1080p screen has good viewing angles, which is good. That was like I think one of my initial thoughts was like, what kind of quality is the screen on like something that's small and that compact. It seems to be 1080p. They said the speaker quality
Yeah.
on it is bad. I mean, if we see the pictures, there are little speakers below the monitor on it. I guess, but depending on what you can pack in there, I mean, I guess it wouldn't surprise me if the speakers weren't the best. It also says it blocks Ethernet USB ports, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know how I feel
So
about that.
scroll back to the bottom picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see how your USB ports would be to the right of actually one of the USB ports, but then HDMI, USB, and then that whole side is just blank.
Yeah.
The open side is for the power,
Hmm.
but USBs, Ethernets are all blocked. And I
Right.
think that might have a lot to do with just like the chips and all the different hardware that you need to convert the image from HDMI to the screen and power
Yeah.
it.
Probably.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I want to see a video of somebody tearing it down.
Yeah, for sure. Here's an image of those buttons you were talking about right under the screen.
Yeah.
There's I guess brightness buttons, sound buttons, power button, pretty much everything there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so they also say in the bad stuff portion of the review they said that it's you certainly need a case to protect it. That's what you're talking about. It's easily breakable, which is rather
Yeah.
unfortunate. I mean, this concept's great though, man. Like, just if it was something sturdy, just like folding it over the Xbox, take it with you. I mean, you have a really small form factor here, so like already, and then
Mhm.
you just slap like not too big of a screen on it, and then you just pack it up in like a bag or something and take it with you and have something in like the hotel room, if you're traveling or
Yep.
whatnot. Concept's there,
Yeah.
the idea is great, but yeah, it sounds like there's still more work to do on the hardware front.
Yeah, it's in it's a prototype basically. I think the price point right now is way too high. $250 is a lot of money
Yeah,
for a screen that attaches to an Xbox when you can just go out and get what we've talked about so many times is the Steam Deck.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
get
which is
that, go get
portable.
yourself a Nintendo Switch. I mean, they're around the same price point.
I mean, yeah, Switch certainly too. Yeah, if you find
Yeah.
one, it's like at the same price.
Yeah,
Yeah,
$250 for something that's that fragile. I mean, that's a hard sell. But
yeah.
I like the tech and I want them to keep like going for it because this is a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah, it definitely is a great idea. Yeah, I'm with you there though. 250 for this. I mean, if I were to look at this, I would guess like 150 if I was to think of like a
Yeah.
price. But yeah, 250 I'd be like, "Whoa, like all right, that's not me." But a pretty good offering though. I mean, in terms of like there's that potential, man. There's that potential.
Yeah.
Open
We're
up the
getting there.
ports too. Like don't block like find a way to
Yeah,
not
that's
block
great.
the ports. Come on.
Another side issue though is we've talked about several times on this podcast is how everything is going to the cloud now and doing xCloud streaming and gaming. Got to make this kind of null and void.
That's true. It's very true. Uh
So
yeah, it's a perspective I didn't think of, but you're right. I mean, you cloud stream on your phone, man, it's gonna be just as good, if not better.
yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah,
what you're looking for,
yeah. It's like
As soon as that internet gets up there, it's gonna be game over.
yeah, and this is the Xbox. Get yourself a laptop. It's no different.
Yeah, that's true. Game Pass for PC,
You're
you get a
playing
decent laptop.
Game Pass for PC.
I mean,
But I like
certain,
the idea.
yeah, it's
As much
there,
as I
man.
just pointed out major
Like,
flaws,
like you look at it,
I
and
like
it's
the idea.
exciting, right? Like, it seems
Yes.
like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is really like this is seriously dope. But, God, man, too much of an ask for something that fragile, man. Again, something's gonna be
Yeah.
obsolete soon. Can't do it.
Could be me.
Hmm. I thought Resident Evil, a movie or TV adaptations of Resident Evil were going to be fairly obsolete after seeing the stretch of Resident Evil movies we've seen over the years. Kind of
Yeah.
not related to the story at all of like the game. Excuse me, the games.
That's true. That maybe that's where Halo got their inspiration.
Yeah, maybe.
Just do whatever they want.
Hey, I mean, hey, who knows, man? Who knows? But there is a new Resident Evil TV series coming out on Netflix this July. This was
Mhm.
announced back in August of 2020, as the article states. First announced this. It said there was a little bit of a synopsis, kind of giving you an idea of where the story's going to be. There's two posters they released. July 14th is the release date for this. Posters look pretty interesting. I noticed if you look at the font, the typography, the Resident Evil, they kind of have a weird. The V in Evil is a weird like triangle thing, which is certainly something I haven't seen in any of the game series text. So who knows? Maybe that's indicative of the kind of difference this will be as opposed to the games.
Yeah.
They also said so far there's no talks of zombies. I mean, I'm assuming surely there's gonna be some sort of zombie. It's Resident Evil.
Gotta be.
It's gotta be, right?
It's Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean there absolutely has to be. But I mean the biggest thing for me, I mean this is on Netflix. There's no excuse. I can't. I mean I have Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of people have Netflix. There's no excuse not to at least check it out. You know. So anyways, back to what kind of the story's about. It said it's going to take place across two timelines, one with the sisters Jade and Billy Wesker, which if you played the games, I'm sure you heard of one of the main antagonists, Albert Wesker, from the series. It says it takes place in the year 2036, which I guess if we also take the games into account, it's certainly later than a lot of the games take place. So we can expect it's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably like a sister or brother that were, I guess, a son and daughter of the Wesker heir. And it's essentially these two kids essentially move to a new Raccoon City, whatever New Raccoon City is. I guess it's kind of the revitalization of what was Raccoon City. They go there as teenagers, and that's one of the storylines. They go as teenagers, and there's another set years in the future with Jade and others trying to survive a zombie devastated Earth. There's a log line, I guess, from Netflix's original series, I guess, synopsis. I said the year's 2036, 14 years after a deadly virus caused a global apocalypse, Jade Wesker fights for survival in a world overrun by bloodthirsty, infected, and insane creatures. In this absolute carnage, Jade is haunted by her past in New Raccoon City, by her father's chilling connections to the Umbrella Corporation, mostly by what happened to her sister Billy. Okay, so it's actually two sisters. I was wrong there. But yeah, I mean that kind of confirms it, right? I mean this is the daughters of Wesker, and so there is clearly some tie to the story, which certainly draws me in. Certainly something I'm interested in. And I think it's hopefully going to be different. I think for the movies too, of like trying to keep some of that kind of game lore in there somehow, kind of bring some of that in. Did you play any of the Resident Evil games, Mike?
Yeah, I actually did. It's been a long time though. That's the thing. So I'm not gonna have a sharp memory when it comes to it. But I also watched the movies. The movies were like always kind of a meme. It was just gory, kind of a mess. And to be honest, around the same time, not too far out of around the same time frame, was like 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and I always found those a little bit more interesting
Yeah,
because just the different type of virus that it was supposed to be and like how it originated. But I think Resident Evil has a lot of potential. And I'm gonna watch this for sure. The problem that I have is that the person that I live with does not like scary movies or scary TV shows. So I'm hoping,
ooh,
because this is like a heroine based TV series, and you can't let the main characters die, right? Right? So hopefully it's more of like revitalizing a new world after this horrible apocalyptic event happens.
right, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I think
Hopefully there'll be something like that there. It certainly sounds like it, right? Um,
yeah. Yeah,
so
I think so. I'm excited. So
yeah, I think the big thing with these series too, it's like there's always that balance, right? Of you want to get like people who love the games or who already are familiar with the series, and then you want to get people who may not like it or may have no
yeah.
idea what the games are like. Got to strike that balance, and I don't know. It sounds like this may be an interesting take and something that could successfully kind of bring a new audience and also kind of pay homage to those who have spent a lot of time in the universe. So
Yeah, plenty of potential. And I'm sure there's actually people who are listening to us that have not even heard of Resident Evil.
yeah,
And maybe they've seen 28 Days Later or like Walking Dead. Walking Dead was like super popular.
yeah,
And it's kind of along those lines where it's not necessarily like zombies, right? It's just like it's a virus that takes over like
yeah,
the human.
yeah.
So it's wild. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm certainly excited for it. July 14th is when this
Yep.
debuts on Netflix. So if you have a
This
Netflix
year.
subscription, yep, this year, 2022, it'll be streaming on Netflix. Certainly check it out if you played the Resident Evil games. I think I'm certainly going to check this out without a doubt. I'll be marking my calendar.
Hmm.
And hopefully it does the series justice, but also has an interesting twist on it, which it sounds like it might. So again,
Yeah.
I'm going into all these gaming TV shows, Mike, with some optimism. You know what I mean? That's
Hey, man.
it's the best approach.
Yeah, we love video games and we want them to be successful. So
Yeah. And we want to see
let's get it.
we want to see in other mediums too. We want to see it shine in other ways. So
Yeah. Before we go any further with the next article,
Mhm.
what would be your favorite game adapted to a TV series?
Ah, it's a good question. Played a lot of like single player stuff, especially over the years too. Um, I know Bioshock, I think, is getting a series, right? Or like a movie. I
Yeah.
think we talked about that recently. They're getting their own form of that. I'd be excited to see that. Um, I mean, Last of Us too. I mean, that was we like Last of Us and all that. I mean, we're getting a show for that, which is exciting. The Uncharted movie was really good. I think it had some A-list actors, and I think they did a good job of kind of not sticking too closely to the games, but involving a lot of like similar characters and
Yeah.
again like these very popular actors to get that new crowd in. I think that's a really good example of like a I guess a adaptation that was done well, at least in my opinion. Um, yeah, there's not. It's kind of hard to think of because I think most of the ones I'd really want to see are on the horizon, right?
Yeah.
Um,
They're literally coming like there's so many that you haven't even listed that like start off as video games but are TV shows or movies now.
yeah,
And it's like just some that I was thinking about is like Tomb Raider.
yeah.
We got ourselves a Tomb Raider game and movie. Something that's criminally underrated is Need for Speed. They made the
Yeah.
Need for Speed one with the guy from what's it called? Breaking Bad.
Oh,
Jesse's character.
oh, I know you talk about. Uh,
Jesse's the character.
oh yeah.
I'm finding out.
I think I'm trying to think of it. I got this. Hold
We're
on.
gonna yeah, we got to
Oh,
solve this now. Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. Yeah, I knew it was a Paul
Aaron
somewhere.
Paul.
I knew it wasn't his
Yeah.
first. I knew it. Uh,
Yeah, he plays Jesse Pinkman. He
yeah,
also
yeah,
plays one of the main characters in Need for Speed, and I watched that with people that didn't watch Need for Speed, but they liked cars. They enjoyed that aspect of it. But the people that like played the game knew the story and like understood because Need for Speed for a while was actually like a story driven game. Like
right.
you start off as like a humble racer, and then you work your way up. It's like a progression game, and especially the street versions. And when I saw that movie, I was like, yes, they actually like they did it. Like they did like he was number one and then he lost it all and he has to start at the bottom, work his way up. And I was like, I'm totally into this. I was nerding out, like talk to people about it. They're like, that movie was awful. I'm like, to me it wasn't. Okay.
To me,
That
it was
movie was
gold,
for
baby.
me. That was for me, man.
They made that with
So
Mike in mind, baby. Let's go.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, they
funny.
were just like they saw how many games I played of Need for Speed. They knew this is for this man.
This is the market, baby. This is the market. That's funny, man.
There's like 5 of us.
uh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, in
Yeah,
terms of like an original, like, or like a title that hasn't been touched by any other like
yeah,
form of
that's
entertainment,
hard.
it's hard to think of. Yeah, on the spot. I'd need some time with that. It's a good question though.
You know what I would go with? And it would absolutely crush it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Zelda.
Mm. Yeah. True.
But here's the
Oh,
thing.
you have to do that. Oh, that's kind
Oh,
of.
you gotta do
Oh,
that's a trilogy.
probably yeah.
That's a trilogy.
Easily. I
If
mean,
you do a
easily, right?
trilogy of Legend of Zelda, like here's the trilogy, right? You start off as Link, right? The second one, you do Princess Zelda, and then third, you do Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Like primary characters. You do it that way,
Mm.
where you can make like every character relatable of the true Triforce. Done.
That's it. We need to. All
Done.
right, we need. I'm gonna get some screenwriters and some people in the industry somehow. I'm gonna blast their emails. We're gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
That's
Honestly,
it.
I'm just gonna start literally writing down money and then send it to them because it's like I'm giving you ideas. I don't know why you don't just run with it.
I'm literally giving you the $1 million idea here. That'd be really
Yeah, it's
good though.
free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be really good. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
right, man. That's certainly an untouched idea. So Guess we'll just,
shockingly too.
yeah. I
Let's
mean,
let's move on
we'll
though.
just yeah,
Let's move on.
we'll have to see. I mean, there's a lot there, man. There's a lot. Anyways, um, ID at Xbox was this week. For those who don't know, it's independent development. At Xbox, it's kind of Xbox's way of shining some light on some independent developers that otherwise may not have the opportunity to market to as broad of an audience. It's a great idea. I like the indie market. Indie always comes up with, I think, the best games, and the
Yep.
ones that end up breaking out in the mainstream, they always start small. So it's like there's always opportunity for a new IP to just like bust out and do something great. And so there's certainly, I think, no exception with some of the stuff we saw. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch the showcase. We did glance over the article kind of and look at some of the offerings. There's certainly some interesting stuff there. Certainly some games that aren't my type, personally. Like something like WrestleQuest, I think that art style is like immediately not something I'd be super into. But something like Tunic looks kind of interesting. It's kind of that like it's not really like cartoony, but it's like a very, very unique aesthetic that we've rarely seen in games. Um, if you've been paying attention at all to Twitter, you probably saw T-Pain talk about Crusader
Yeah.
Kings, Crusader Kings 3. He did like an ad for that. It was Pope T-Pain, as they were saying. So that was kind of funny. I did see that. That's actually Crusader Kings 3 is coming out March 29th. That's pretty much next week, right? And that's very
Yeah.
soon. So that's coming out on Game Pass as well. There's a few of these trailers that they showed of some of these games are Game Pass day one. So
Yep.
it's always cool to see that getting that. They get. I think Game Pass like really breaks them out and really gets no
Yeah.
broader audience rather than Xbox just saying, "Here's some games," but like, "Oh, here's some games that we could just give it to you," like for a subscription service you already have.
Yeah.
Tunic
Yeah.
is on that list too. I mean, it goes on.
Yeah. To go back with Game Pass, when Game Pass a couple years ago, Microsoft did the whole deal with indie developers, and it's not just like all indie developers like encompass, but they like obviously reach out to the devs. And what they started proposing was to release their games for free on the Game Pass, and they actually give them a kickback based on percentages or people count of people that try out the games. So if you guys are actually interested in any of these games and you have Game Pass, go play it, man. Go
Yeah.
check it out for like 5-10 minutes. You can actually this happened with me too. You can go and stream it, or you can tweet out to the developer, and they'll likely respond or be in your Twitch, which is
Yeah.
a cool feeling. Like I think you were in my chat when I was playing Killer Queen, which is an arcade style
hmm
game that I played like 5-6 years ago. They have a PC version of it.
hmm
It's called Killer Queen Black. The dev was in the chat, verified
Yeah,
account,
I remember that.
messaging me, and I was just like, "Oh, it's a troll. Like somebody's trolling me." He
Yeah,
goes, "We're not trolling. This is awesome." I'm like,
yeah.
"What?"
I know. Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. That sounds kind of
So like,
cool. Like,
yeah, it's like
yeah,
they're indie devs. They're like, this could be a team of like 5 people. If
yeah,
you tweet them, they're gonna see it.
yeah. Right. Like, it's no
Tweet
doubt.
positive, tweet constructive and positive though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Um,
it's like the real opportunity where you can communicate with the dev directly and like give feedback.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of opportunity
yeah.
for
It's
that.
it's really cool, and I mean, I didn't know it was on Game Pass until you just said it, so I'll be paying attention to the games that actually pique my interest. There are some art styles I want to try out.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
this Trek to Yomi, right off the bat, I'm like, this looks interesting.
Yeah,
And all I see is the art style. You
yeah.
know?
I know, for real. I mean,
So
another game I saw that really caught my eye was Immortality, which is like an interactive movie style of game. Haven't
yeah.
really seen anything like this. I'm playing a little bit of the trailer now. It's it's certainly interesting. The style of it is, again, as you can see, it's just like you're watching a movie, but you can almost kind of go through, I guess, the different reels throughout the film and kind of piece together this, I guess, mystery, like kind of murder mystery style thing. Um, yeah, it looks something I certainly haven't seen done before. And I mean, the best part, it comes out this summer and it's on Game Pass, so it's like an easy checkout.
You know what this reminds me of? Um, what was that? This came out, I think 2019, right before everything went down, right? It was a TV show on Netflix where you can interact with the show. Do you
Feel
remember
like
what I'm talking about?
I feel like I do.
And like it went viral. People are losing their mind. And then like when they finished the show, everybody's like, "Oh, what was your ending?" Because remember the guy was like trying to make his own game, and the game was the show.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I think.
Like I feel like I feel like this game, this let's repeat it again for people. It's um, Immortality, an interactive movie trilogy. It reminds me of that show that I can't remember the name of, but I'll look it up right now if you want to stall it for me.
Yeah. I mean, like this is definitely a game I want to try out though. Just from the looks of it. I think would be a good like stream game too. To be honest, it'd be like a good like. It doesn't seem. I don't know. It may be kind of a long game, but it certainly if it's like a shorter game, this is definitely like streamable content right here. Um,
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. Oh, okay,
Was it
okay.
Black Mirror?
Yeah, I don't know. I know
I
I've heard
think
of
it
Black
was.
Mirror, and heard how ridiculously like out of this world that show is, but I don't know if that's it.
Yes, it is Black Mirror.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an interactive game where you can only get like a certain amount of endings, but the choices that you make while you're watching determine your ending of the show. So
Huh.
everybody had a different ending. Well, not everybody, but I mean,
Yeah.
there are enough
Right.
possibilities where you can have different endings.
Right. Yeah. Huh.
Yes,
Yeah. That's
sir.
that's a show I've certainly heard of. So yeah, maybe one of these days I'll sit down. Another game I saw that it's called Curse to Golf, and the description kind of describes it's kind of like a what if golf type of game. It almost made me think of like something like Golf with Your Friends or something like that. Like when
Yeah.
I originally heard the title. Then I saw the gameplay, and as you can see, it's more of like a platformer where you're like a golf ball, kind of just like in that. So I mean, I don't know. It still seems interesting if you're certainly into platformers. It seems like a kind of interesting take on it. Um, Curse to Golf. There's actually no release date on that, but it is going to be on PC. And so we don't know if that's going to Game Pass either. Unfortunately, for some of these, there is no release date or Game Pass announcement or anything like that. So certainly cool to see this stuff. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else that really caught your eye at ID at Xbox?
Uh, Not particularly. Nothing that we haven't already covered.
Yeah.
I think I think it's just pretty telling that Xbox is trying to do these types of showcases for the indie like scene.
Hmm.
They're like for this is for you too, because you live in South Carolina. Sorry, I just dosed you. I live in North Carolina. There's a Carolina Game Summit, and they invite all the indie devs to basically come out and test out their games. I bet you some of these might actually be there,
Yeah,
or
maybe.
just games similar to it. So they do it
Mm.
once a year, and I think that'd be kind of a cool experience for us to go to.
Yeah, something like that would be really cool. Just to, like go to like a low key event kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's really cool. They have booths set up, they have cards, they have everything like that. So I'm sure we're not the only states to do that. So
yeah, surely
I
not.
definitely think that's worth checking out. Got to support the devs, man.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be
The
just,
indie devs, not the AAA devs.
I mean, and
The
if you're
bad
trying to
AAA devs.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to even get into game development at all, like personally, it could be a good opportunity too to just go
Yeah,
and see what like other like-minded people are working on. So something that
yeah,
is always
absolutely.
there's always a lot of value in stuff like that, especially if you're like trying to get into the industry. So definitely definitely something to check out, man. But yeah, ID at Xbox. I know I was gonna say I hope I know Xbox is gonna keep doing stuff like this, and I
Oh
think it's
yeah,
always great that they're trying to be as inclusive as possible with every single type of I guess level of developer out there. And some of these people, they may want to bigger and better games and companies just because they make a stellar indie game, So
yeah. Might get signed to Microsoft Studios. I think that's the end game for Microsoft. But I'm just
Oh,
saying, like, that's
yeah.
the business model I would go with if I was working there.
Yeah, man, yeah. Uh, but so we had ID at Xbox, right? But there was unfortunately another event from a bigger developer that was canceled this year.
Hmm.
It's the EA Play Live event. It won't be happening this year. Which I did see EA Play. I saw this event myself. I think, at least for probably the past couple of years. I know Greg Miller over at Kind of Funny. He's always been the main host there. I think with couple other people. And that's kind of what enticed me to like at least check it out. It was always cool to see some of the games there. I think Star Wars Squadrons was announced there. It was like that kind of shooter,
Yeah.
the flight game.
Yeah, Flight Sim.
Yeah, flight sim style. That was announced there. But unfortunately, it's not happened this year. A representative actually spoke with IGN where we're pulling this article. Kat Bailey wrote it. They said, we love EA Play Live as it's our way to connect with our players and sharing what's new with all of you. However, this year things aren't lining up with the show you everything on one date. We have exciting things happening in our world-class studios, and this year we'll reveal much more about these projects when the time is right for each of them. We look forward to spending time with you throughout the year. So, immediately what I get from this, obviously, is, we're not having this event, but there's still going to be announcements throughout the year. It's not just a completely dry year for EA. Like, they're not going to keep everyone in the dark for 2022. There's going to be stuff they talk about. And the article also on IGN goes on to state, a couple of their big plans right now. They even announced this week the Dead Space remake was announced late last year, and they even announced this week that it has the release window of early 2023. So obviously still hard at work on games like that. There's also, we covered the multiple new Star Wars titles that were announced that'll be working under the EA umbrella. There's 3 games coming out there. So there's certainly stuff going on, and we'll hear more stuff, I'm sure, this year, and especially regarding stuff like the Dead Space remake, which I'm certainly intrigued about. Definitely going to see something, but I mean, another kind of summer-ish event has been canceled. I mean, yeah, it's we're moving away, I guess, from the events. It feels like, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
where are you kind of at that stuff, Mike? I mean, I know. Do you watch do you try to pay attention to a lot of those events like during the summer?
Yeah, at the least, I'm watching the YouTube recaps. Like, one of my favorite things to do is like dive into YouTube videos of upcoming games. And I do that because I'll watch the trailers, and the trailers come from events like this if I don't already watch them live, right? Um, but I think from a gaming industry related point, this isn't really good for the gaming industry. They need to have live events where they can have their fans for like to be able to go talk to the devs directly.
Right.
Because I think it also holds them accountable. Like EA in particular is kind of scummy in a lot of ways that, I mean, we need another 2 hours to go over. But like it how much do you think this is like a technical thing where they just want to save money? Or how much is it them just trying to avoid the backlash from like Madden, FIFA, and Battlefield 2042?
Yeah, it's a
You
good
know?
point. Yeah, I think there's
So,
definitely. I mean, not to be too pessimistic, but I mean, I would agree with you. I think there's definitely some influence there, but not one
uh,
to have to talk about, like, the elephant in the room.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's certainly something I think that is prominent there. Which I'd like to think that's not the case, and I think I agree with you. I think these events, I like, even for like an E3, I still get excited about E3, and I still watch E3 every year.
Yeah.
Like, I still look forward to those type of showcases. So when they don't have them, it's like, I mean, I don't know if I like the kind of piecemeal, like, okay, here's a state of play from PlayStation, here's Xbox talking about something for 45 minutes, here's Bethesda finally showcasing what they're working on, like, just
Yeah.
throughout the year. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good to have a continual kind of cycle of news. But I don't know, man, those big like events where they're prepping for like an E3, like 8, 9, 10 months out, they're like prepping to get these presentations and get the players hype. It's like that's always exciting to me, and I hope that like we don't go away from this. And again, like being able to speak to people, that's like a big thing. A lot of these devs is like just like having at least some level of transparency. I think it's a good
Yeah.
place to do it and get people excited, but also acknowledge like, hey, like, we're looking into this too. And these events are I think one of the best ways to do that. So I'm hoping to see some of these come back.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't come back next year because like everything seems to be going, I guess, quote unquote, back to normal is what everybody says. Um, I don't have much hope for it coming back at all, you know.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be sad to see because it's like I really do enjoy watching these live like streams and stuff like that. Or just I've never been to one of these events. Well, I have, but nothing of this caliber, this level, like an EA Play. But I love watching it and then being shocked, like super surprised of watching something. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
Right.
going to the movie theater and you see a trailer for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's really cool. It's exciting because you get like talk to your friends like, "Yo, have you been to the movie theater recently? Because like there's this new movie coming out. It looks sick." You know, but
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like games now.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know what is going to happen. Like what's going to happen with the gaming industry if they keep canceling events like this. But we can't be too harsh, right? Because we're 2 years, less than a year removed, less than like 3 months removed from quote unquote back to normal. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see for sure. For me, the biggest event probably of the year's Game Awards now, just because I know
Mhm.
Jeff Keighley, like he has that show, and he's just like he's not letting go of that as much as he can, which I can appreciate. I think he's like one of the few people
Yeah.
that still like he does Summer Games Fest too. He's one of the people that still wants like this style of like, hey, like let we need these devs to like talk about their games and like get like people excited. It's like you got to keep that. I feel and he's like a huge proponent in that. So he's kind of up there with like a Phil Spencer almost to me of like someone I'm always excited to see, like always excited to hear from.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
It's like, what's happening? It's like,
yeah,
it's going to be good.
because he talks to everyone, man. It's like and he has like all these different eyes inside the industry, so it's
Yeah.
yeah. So at least there's still something, you know. We're not completely we're not completely just a la carte news throughout the year. Mm. But yeah, you know, another event gone for at least this year. Who knows if it'll come back?
Yeah. Hopefully it
Yeah,
does.
hopefully, man.
Crossing
Hopefully.
our fingers. Crossing
Yeah.
our fingers.
I'm also crossing my fingers for Starfield, the newest new IP that I'm sure the newest RPG that everyone's excited for out of Bethesda. I say excited, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are certainly skeptical of Bethesda over their last few releases, and
Yes.
I think I'm certainly one of those too, especially after Fallout 76. Won't go into detail, of course, but sure everyone knows who's at least touched a video game in the past few years will know
Yeah.
will have heard of it at least. However, Bethesda has been doing every few months they kind of do, I guess, sort of like a talk with like some of the main devs of the game. Just kind of talk about like the road to like creating Starfield and kind of what their thoughts are. And this week, Bethesda released one of those videos on their channel, on their YouTube channel, and they showed off a ton of screenshots, concept art, as well as some actual in-game footage, kind of showcasing some of the graphics that we'll be looking at. Um, certainly, I mean, no doubt. I mean, I have the video, some of the video here. I mean, the graphics, at least on my side, I don't know if it'll fully show through on our
It's,
video, but
it's,
I mean,
it's looking good.
but yeah, I mean, the game, I mean, the graphics do look phenomenal. It looks like, and just at least out the box, I'm sure that's either on a super high end PC or maybe if it's, you know, PS5 is certainly like PS5, Xbox Series X will certainly be able to put out some graphical power there. But just showing some of the video, showing some of the kind of live, kind of the gameplay stuff they've done throughout the little bit they've shown over the past year or two. Kind of just showing some of the production. It's really cool to see a lot of like the kind of how they do it and how games are made. But they kind of talk about that. They show some of the it's that little kind of 8 second or so clip they show of the robot is people theorizing it's more than likely a companion, especially the way it talks. It says it's kind of there to help you, I guess, the main character. So companions certainly are going to be in this game from what we can see. But it's cool to see like, you know, Todd Howard and a lot of other like lead game designs and quest designers kind of sitting there and talking about the process of what they've done so far and leading up to release. It's cool to see the concept art too. I mean, seeing a lot of this kind of like space stuff, it reminds me a lot of the Star Wars vein. I mean, I guess anything in space, like to some extent,
Yeah.
especially in the future, it's very easy to just pin it like, oh, Star Wars. I'm sure it's, you know, much, you know, much different, but seeing a lot of that has certainly got me excited for the game. It's coming out in November, unless it's delayed. But knock on wood, it's not. I don't have any wood to knock on. But here's the hoping that November we get a good Bethesda RPG. So what do you think, Mike? Are you looking forward to Starfield? Are you gonna try it out at all? Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really like up to my style of gameplay, like open world RPGs, to be honest.
Mm,
Bethesda is a really well-renowned developer, and I guess technically they're a publisher, are they not?
They are. Yeah, they have a publishing house
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So they're I mean, they kind of dropped the ball with the last Fallout, and
Yeah.
so I'm cautiously optimistic. But this game is an Xbox console exclusive, so you can only play on Xbox. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so. I believe so,
So
at least with the new buyout they did. Xbox did. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Xbox console exclusive. Unless it gets delayed, the console
yeah,
exclusive will be out November 11th. And who knows? They may open it up. Maybe it's a timed exclusive. Who knows? But at least at the start,
yeah,
it's
probably.
gonna be
Ton,
it's gonna be on
yeah,
Xbox. Yeah.
yeah. I think I mean, I'll check it out. It's probably gonna be on Game Pass. I would guess.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so. I think it was a Game Pass day one, which this article would tell me because I didn't do the research. Um,
Fair
and it
enough. I mean,
shows.
I'll tell you right now for the people that are just listening, the graphics look amazing. It looks really, really good. The artwork that they have, it looks like concept art, and that also looks equally amazing. And I mean, from an aesthetic point of view, it looks great. Um, I just hope the story's good. You know,
Right.
the way I see it is, I think this is something that we can talk about. Is like, especially with the release of Elden Ring, it's further proof that the gaming industry and video games in general, there's like an audience and consumers for people that want to play single player games. Whereas I don't you remember this like a couple of years ago when the new Call of Duty was released, not new, but like Call of Duty was released without a story and people flipped out. And then Activision Blizzard came out and basically said, "Oh, nobody cares about stories anymore." And then like a couple other games came out like EA with Anthem, right?
Yeah.
That was an EA game. Came out without a story. And people are just like, "Yo, yeah, we want a story." And then EA is like, "No, it's fine. You don't need one."
Huh.
But like Elden Ring is absolutely crushing it right now. Like
Yeah.
in every metric.
Oh yeah.
YouTube, Twitch, like
Yeah.
live streaming, everything. It's all people talk about. I have people that don't even play video games asking me about Elden Ring at work.
Um,
Like,
yeah,
so
it's a phenomenon,
it's
man.
because of the story. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Starfield I hope has that kind of feel. Like it's an open world RPG, but like RPGs are inherently story driven because you're progressing your character from
Yeah.
one like original checkpoint to the next. So
Yeah.
all that to basically say I have high hopes and I hope it's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just from like a Bethesda perspective, I mean, like Fallout 3, I played Fallout 3 so many years ago and I absolutely loved it. And then I played New Vegas and that was I think arguably one of the greatest RPGs to come out in the past 2 decades. Like I absolutely loved that game. I think it kind of nailed it did a really good job of like kind of taking Fallout 3, adding some enhancements to it, kind of taking the same formula as Fallout 3 though, and just kind of enhancing it. And I think like I went back and played it. I want to say about a year ago, because there was some fan made, I guess, like mod DLC that came out that I wanted to check out. And I remember when I went back and played it, there was a lot of things about the interface in that game that annoyed me because I'm so used to like more modern interface, and like I could tell like it aged very badly, which is like
Oh,
which some people may like hate me saying that, but like I just think I think the interface in that game and the UI in general, like it didn't age well, in my personal opinion. And I love the way Fallout 4 kind of did the looting system where you because the biggest thing for me is like in like the New Vegas and 3, like when you go to loot a body, it like completely pauses your game and throws up a screen, and like it completely pulls you out of the game for a second. So you loot the body and then you go out of it, and it's like there's all these layers to that. But like in Fallout 4, like 76, I mean, one thing that engine did right was they essentially took a lot of those, and they probably got inspiration for PC mods, to be perfectly honest, because like later on down the line,
yeah.
especially the New Vegas pulled a lot of the same stuff that like Fallout 4 used. But if you go over a body in those games, it just brings up a much smaller, more intuitive version of the menu right before you. Doesn't pause your game, doesn't take you out of the experience. It's very intuitive. And like that was, and so I really noticed a lot of that stuff like just didn't age well, unfortunately, but still a great story. I think an RPG, like a RPG open world, that's still fairly large, but it's not like it's not so big that it like loses, I guess, the excitement to explore. Um, and like because there's still stuff even if I went back and played that game, and it's been like 10 years now. If I went back and played it, I'm sure I'd find something I haven't found before in like both 3 and New
Yeah.
Vegas. There's so much to explore. So I'm I really hope Starfield kind of takes that same like takes a lot of like the new elements, like maybe even improving on some of the interface, and just like giving us just a world to explore that has that. And I really hope they take the time to really focus on making good, solid quests that carry you throughout your adventure, because that was one of the things Fallout 4 in particular really lacked, was like a lot of those quests. And I've like seen tons of videos on it, and people are so right. It's like there's a lot of just fetch questing and a lot of story
Yeah.
like beats that just like don't really make sense, and you could tell it's kind of just they built this really ambitious game, but they really took the questing on and put it on the back burner, which is very unfortunate. So I'm really hoping, especially with like the lead quest designer sounds like, this he sounds very excited about the stuff they're doing for Starfield, which gets me excited. I think that especially hopefully they learn a lot of the lessons from kind of the past 2 entries, just really improve and put the story, because like when it comes to RPG, the story is what matters most. And like I think we've seen evidence of that in like Witcher 3, where like that game is
Yeah.
still like,
Yeah.
I mean, that was like CD Projekt Red's like magnum opus right there. Like that was like
Yeah.
the game they took Witcher, they took that universe, they expanded it, they made the stories, and even every single quest in that game is interesting from what I hear. That's a game I still haven't had a chance to play that is on my list, because I've just heard so many good things about it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, anyways, won't go too much more on it, but I certainly have high hopes for Starfield. I'm definitely gonna be checking out when it comes out, for sure. And just hopefully they put the story first, man. That's like the most important thing in an RPG to me, is making sure you have
Yeah.
very interesting and engaging quests. So,
Yeah,
hoping
if
for
you
the
don't,
best,
it
man.
just yeah, if you don't do that right, it turns into something that's more of like a chore or work.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like something that you have to do, not something that you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it
So
goes down like we've talked about it in many aspects, especially in the gaming industry. Is like a lot of these developers and a lot of these like stakeholders are just losing their human element in a lot of these
yes,
like in a lot of this development process. Like they're not thinking about the human first anymore, and that's like the most important thing to make engaging art. You know?
yeah, it's literally all art.
Yeah.
And when you get people that don't know how to make art making the decisions, this
You
happens.
end up with these
Like,
games, baby. Not
yeah,
completely.
just
Darn it.
just just shipping out trash,
Straight
unfinished
up.
trash,
Straight
and then
up.
all the devs take all the heat, and then yeah, let's not get into it.
Yeah. I will say though,
It's not
I
a
hope.
bad time.
Yeah.
So go ahead,
I
go
will
ahead.
say, hopefully later this year, hopefully sooner rather than later, we start seeing a lot more gameplay of Starfield 2 with the release date approaching so close.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
think I think it is time.
yeah, with how little they've shown, it's like you really gonna launch in like less than 9 months? Well, 9, 10, 11 months? No,
It's
10 months.
November.
Yeah, it's 9. It's 9.
Yeah,
November, 9 months.
yeah.
And you're
But
not
it's coming
showing
up.
anything yet?
Yeah, it's coming up, man. Like they need to come out swinging this summer. They need to, man.
They have to.
Because if
They
they
have
don't,
either
it's just
delay
like,
it.
yeah, if they don't, I'm just gonna assume delay, right? If they don't hear anything by like August.
Yeah,
Um,
that's actually a good point. I'd say
yeah,
July.
yeah.
But the good news is that gaming's still cool. Like we got TV shows coming out, we got movies coming out, we got new games coming out, we got interesting new stories. The tech, the hardware is the bomb,
The bomb,
getting even
baby.
better. Yeah, bringing something back from like early 2000s lingo.
The
Calm like a
bomb, baby.
bomb, you know what I mean? So
Man,
it's it's pretty good.
pretty good stuff.
So
That was all the articles I had this week, Mike. I don't know if you had anything else to bring up, but that was it for the
I actually
stories.
did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were I think a solid episode in review. This is episode 10 of the MT podcast, and I am Michael Anthony and Mr. JK Heath,
Hey, maybe there you go.
aka Kyle Heath.
That's me. You know where to find us. You know where to
Yep.
find us. Um,
Yep.
10 episodes in. It's
Literally
crazy. It's crazy. 10
it is.
episodes, double digits.
Yeah, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So we should actually bring up before we entirely let go is you're going to be gone next week.
I will indeed be gone next week.
Yep.
And I mean, I will of course let you decide, Mike, what you want to do. I mean, I'm assuming we may have an episode next week. I don't know. But
We are.
if
We're gonna have an episode. I'll do one
mm,
without you, but we also need to have ourselves a guest coming up.
yes, we do have a guest coming up.
Yeah, we do have a guest coming up, so keep an eye out for that. And I guess that really just wraps up the whole episode.
Yeah, that
So,
does another one in the books.
another one in the books. M2 podcast.
Yep.
Catch you later.
Peace out, everyone. Thanks for listening.